Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in today's video we will talk about and we will show you a tutorial on SQL Server integration services. So this is part 2 of this video. Please watch the earlier part, which is part 1 of this video in my playlist, the SQL Server integration playlist. Let's move ahead. There are some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept, and if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice. Perform any exercises in your lab and test environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our videos, so please do share your comments with us. We love to read them and we will wait for the same. I have curated some playlists for you to watch. Links are all available in the video description area, so you can check them out. Some of the playlists are SQL Server database design playlist having 59 videos, SQL Server tables playlist having 16 videos at present, and we have business continuity playlist having 50 videos, and SQL Server indexing playlist having 10 videos, and performance tuning playlist having 18 videos, and integration services playlist which is having 12 videos. So this video will be a part of integration services playlist. And guys, I usually release videos in a random manner for various topics. In order to learn SQL Server effectively, what I would suggest is you go through a playlist in a sequence instead of randomly watching videos. If you want to learn certain concept, like if you want to learn integration services, I would suggest you to go to integration services playlist and watch the videos one by one. So currently, the total number of videos posted on my channel are around 165 videos, and this video list is growing on at a constant pace. So I think you should be subscribing to my channel because of this. And each of the videos in the playlist are very useful for you. And if you have not already subscribed of, or if you are new to this channel, please go ahead and there's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon. Select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. I have a channel page as well, so link is given over here, and also including this link in the description area. So you can go to my channel page as well and subscribe from there as well. On my channel page, you will find all these mentioned playlists as well as the playlist specially curated as per your preferences as well. So please check out my channel page. Let's go back to today's topic, which is in which we are covering the SQL Server Integration Services tutorial. So let's quickly go to notes. So in our earlier video, if you remember, if you're not watched already, please watch the previous video prior to start working on this video. Otherwise, this video will not be useful. So watch out the part 1 of this tutorial before watching this part 2. So in part 1, we have done two things. We have created a new integration services project, and in the step 2, we have added and configured a flat files connection manager. This is up till these points we have covered in our previous video. Today we will be covering step 3, so let me take it towards the end. So today we are covering the step 3, which is adding and configuring an OLE DB connection manager. So once you're done with adding a flat file connection manager to connect to a data source, which we had done in the previous video, you can add an OLE DB connection manager. So in this video, what we will do, we will add an, let me add an OLE DB connection manager. This is what we will do. All right, so we will add OLE DB connection manager. Basically, why do we add the OLE DB connection manager? To connect to the data destination. So we will add the OLE DB connection manager to connect us to the data destination. And basically, OLE DB Connection Manager enables a package to extract data from or load data to any OLE DB compliant data source. So let's talk about this role. So basically, what does OLE DB Connection Manager helps us with? It basically enables the, or maybe I can say the OLE DB Connection Manager enables us to extract data, extract data from or load data into any OLE DB compliant data sources. All right. And basically, using an OLE DB connection manager, you can specify the server and the authentication methods. So let me write that down. We basically specify, what do we specify? The server name to which we want to connect. And in addition to that, we specify the authentication methods. All right. And the default database for the connection. We also mentioned about which should be the default database to connect to. So default database to connect to. All right, so this is what we do while specifying an OLEDB connection manager. And in this task, basically what we will do, we will create an OLEDB connection manager that uses the Windows authentication basically to connect to the local instance of AdventureWorks DW 2022 database. So let me open up SQL Server to show you that this database already exists. We had added this database to our SQL Server system in the previous video. So if you have not already watched the previous video, please go ahead and watch out the previous video. It contains the step to connect to the, or basically it contains the steps to add that particular database into our SQL Server system. So please watch that out. So right now SQL Server is opening, and let me connect to a default instance of SQL Server. And here if we expand the list of the databases, so we have expanded the list of databases. Here we have AdventureWorks DW 2022 database. So this is what we need for this tutorial. All right. And let's go back to the notes. So what we will do, we will use the OLE DB connection manager to connect to this database. And this OLE DB connection manager is also referenced by the other components that we create later in this tutorial, such as basically the lookup transformations and the OLE DB destinations. So let's go ahead, and we are covering a tutorial how to add an, so this is the tutorial how to add and configure an OLE DB connection manager. So let's go through some practical steps. So basically how to do that. We need to open the Visual Studio in which we had created the project earlier. So this is the project, basically SSIS tutorial if you want to open it directly from here. Let me open Visual Studio 2022, and we will open the project, the SSIS solution from there. And we will then cover the rest of the steps. I'm waiting for it to open. So Visual Studio is open. So the last project mentioned here is SSIS tutorial. So let's open up that project. All right. So we are inside Visual Studio, and the SSIS tutorial project is loaded. Here we have our connection manager. Uh, Let me show you. So we have the flat file connection manager present over here as well. This is the lesson 1 DDSX project, and uh, this is basically the name of the package, lesson1.ddSX. Now, let me show you. We are covering the topic add and configure an OLE DB Connection Manager. So let's see how to do that. So in the Solution Explorer on the right hand side, we need to click on the Connection Manager like we did previously to add the flat file Connection Manager. So right click on the Connection Manager. So it gives you the option New Connection Manager. Click on that. And it will open up a Add SSIS Connection Manager dialog box. Let me expand on this. So once you expand this window, you need to select the OLE DB connection. So here we have this connection in the list, OLE DB connection. And after that, you need to click on the Add button. So once you click on the Add button, it will give you a box, Configure OLE DB Connection Manager. Here we have to click on the New button to configure a new OLE DB connection. And here we need to specify the server name. So in our case, we can specify localhost or the actual machine name. For simplicity, let's write out a localhost. So we have type localhost, which basically refers to the local machine. So when we specify localhost as the server name, the connection manager connects to the default instance of SQL Server on a local computer. And in order to use a remote instance of a SQL Server, replace the localhost with the name of the server to which we want to connect. Now, in the logon to the server group, so which is basically the below section, we specify which type of authentication to be used. The SQL Server uses the Windows authentication as well as the SQL Server authentication. So in our for this tutorial, we will be choosing the Windows authentication. Now in the connect to a database section, uh, we basically select the databases from the list of database. So here we will select AdventureWorks DW 2022 database because we have to work with this. And we, after specifying the database, we basically test the connection, which we can do by clicking on the test connection button. So here it is saying that test connection is succeeded, and we can click on OK after we get this message. And on the outer box, we also need to click on OK button. And now in the connection managers pane at the bottom, you will see an OLE DB connection as well to the AdventureWorks or localhost or AdventureWorks DW 2022 database. So this step 3 is done. Now we will move on to step 4. So what is step 4? So step 4 is, let's briefly discuss over here. So step 4 is we will add a data flow task to the package. Let's cover on this. So after we have created the connection managers for the sources, source and destination. For source, we have created a flat file connection manager, and for destination, we have created an OLEDB connection to the AdventureWorks DW 2022 database. Now it's the time to add a data flow task in our package. So what we will do, we will add a data flow task. This is what we will do. And basically the data flow task defines the data flow engine that moves data between sources and destination. So what does data flow task defines? So data flow task basically defines the data flow engine. Basically it refers to a data flow engine that moves the data between the sources and the destinations. And basically it also provides the functionality for, okay, so it also provides the, I'm talking about the data flow task here. So it also provides the functionality for transforming, cleaning, and modifying the data as it is moved. All right. And the data flow task is where most of the ETL work is done, or extract, transform, and load work is done. So this is the task where most of the work for of an extract, transform, and load or ETL processes occur, right? So this is the place where the ETL happens. And the SQL Server integration services separates the data flow from the control flow. So control flow is basically a separate thing from the data flow. Now let's move on to a practical where what we'll do, we will add a data flow task. So let's go to Visual Studio and let's select the control flow tab. So right now we are on the control flow tab if you see. And in the SSIS toolbox pane, so on the left hand side we have SSIS toolbox. We expand the favorites. So it's already expanded under favorites. We have data flow task and the execute SQL task. So we need to drag the data flow task to the middle pane or the design surface, we would say, of the control flow tab. So we have just dragged the data flow task. Let's see what will happen. So we see an data flow task appeared on the design surface. All right. And in case you are not seeing this SSIS toolbox on the left hand side, there's an SSIS menu. So under the extension, we have SSIS menu. Under SSIS menu, we can select the SSIS toolbox for it to being displayed on the left hand side. You can check this option. It will display the SSIS toolbox on the left hand side. Now on the control flow design surface, right click the new data flow task. So let's select this task and right click on it. And we want to rename it. So I'm renaming it to extract sample currency data, as we are extracting the currency data from the flat file. So I'm renaming this task to extract sample currency data. Now I've renamed it. Okay. Now please provide the unique names for all the components that you add to the design surface. So I have changed the name of this component. So I'm not sure whether we are talking about changing the name on the right hand side. So this is the name of the connection manager. Uh, we have not renamed it. It's the same. But yeah, we have renamed the component. Uh, we have changed the name of this component in the here in the properties box. You can do the same. We have changed the name to extract sample currency data. So this should be the name. So that is correct. So we suggest you to provide unique names for all the components that we add to the design surface for ease of use and maintainability basically. The name should describe the function of each component. So basically, how do we name the components? It's basically the name should define the function of each component. So for example, this component is extracting the sample currency data from the flat file. So that's why we have named it like this. And basically, we would suggest you to follow these naming guidelines. It basically allows the integration services packages to be self-documenting. And another way to document your package is by using the annotations. We have covered one video on annotations, but yeah, we will cover the annotations in more detail later. You can watch out my video on annotations to get an idea. So annotations are basically used to document the package. Now let's move on to next step, which is to right click on the data flow task and we need to select the properties to open the data flow task properties window. And we need to basically verify the locale ID property and it should refer to English United States. For this project to be successful, the locale should be English United States. So I've clicked on the properties button. I don't know why it's taking time to show us the properties window. Let's see. Let's try it once more. Don't know why it's taking time. Let me pause and see why the window is not appearing for properties. Should be there. Don't know. Let me check on this. Give me a few seconds, guys. So guys, basically right clicking on it and selecting the properties does not show any dialog box. So instead it gives us the properties window on the right hand side if you see. So this is the properties window we are referring to, and right now it is docked and we have some settings over here. Let me expand on this. Let's see if we can expand the properties window. So yeah, I've expanded the property window. Let's make it little bit bigger. So we need to check the locale ID property over here. See if you can get the locale ID property. Let's go through these settings one by one. So do you see locale ID over here? Okay, so this is the property we are referring to. This should be set to English United States for this data flow task. So guys, we are done with this step 4 as well. So we have added a data flow task and nothing much to be configured here except to check the locale should be pointing to the English United States. Now let's move on to next step, which is add and configure a flat file source. So far we have added the flat file connection manager. Now let's add and configure a flat file source over here. So let's move on to step 5. Bold it out. Step 5 will be add and configure the flat file source. All right. So let's see what has to be done under this. So in this task, basically we will add and configure a flat file source to our package. We will add a flat file source to this package which we are creating. And a flat file source is a data flow component that uses metadata defined by the flat file connection manager. All right, so it is talking about the flat file source, and a flat file source is basically a data flow component that uses the metadata defined by the flat file connection manager. So here we are discussing about what is a flat file source. So a flat file source is a data file data flow component that uses metadata defined by the flat file connection manager. So guys, we have created flat file connection manager earlier, so you can watch out the previous part if you have not already done. And also please subscribe to this channel. There is a subscribe button below this video to get notifications on all the videos for this series where we are creating an ETL project. So once you click on the subscribe button below this video, you will see a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select notifications to get notifications regarding all my future videos. Now let's continue ahead. Now we have talked about what is a flat file source. Now let's talk about this metadata, which is defined by the flat file connection manager. So the metadata specify the format and structure of the data uh, to be extracted from the flat file by the transform process. So in the second line, we were specifying about the flat file source and specified that it uses the metadata defined by the flat file connection manager. Now let's specify what is this metadata. So this metadata specifies the format and structure of the data. Guys, please do watch out my previous video if you want to gain understanding on we had defined the structure of the data. We had created one of the mapping tables. So in order to gain clarity on that, please quickly go ahead and watch my previous video if you have not already done so. Now this metadata specifies the format and structure of the data to be extracted. from the flat file by a transform process. All right. The flat file data source extracts data from single flat file using the format definitions in the flat file connection manager. So what will this source do? The flat file source basically extracts the data from a single flat file using the format definitions defined in the definition. Sorry guys. Definitions are defined in the flat file connection manager. All right. Uh, so let's see. All right. So the flat file source component uses the metadata definitions that are defined in the flat file connection manager. And for this task, we will configure the flat file source to use the sample flat file source data connection manager that we had previously created. So we are talking about this flat file connection manager, sample flat file source data. This is the connection manager to a flat file. And let's add and configure a flat file source in this project. So we have a connection, flat file connection over here. Now what we'll do, we will add a flat file source component. And so first we will go to the data flow pane or data flow pane. This can be done in two ways. Either we can click on this tab, data flow tab, or in the control flow tab, we can double click on this data flow task. It will take us to the data flow tab directly. Now in the SSIS toolbox, so once we are on the database data flow tab, we see a different set of tools on the left hand side box. Then there's in the SSIS toolbox basically. And now in the SSIS toolbox, there's a section on other sources. So you will see this section over here. Other sources, once you expand the other sources, all right, you will see a flat file source as well here. So we need to drag this flat file source onto the design surface of data flow tab. So let's wait for this flat file source to appear on the data flow design surface. And now on the on the data flow design surface, right click the newly added flat file source and select rename. So let's rename it, and here we will rename it to extract sample currency data. All right, so we have renamed this flat file source. Now what we will do, we will double click the flat file source to open the flat file source editor dialog box. So double click on it. So what we got flat file source editor dialog box, and in the flat file connection manager field, so on the over the left hand side we have connection manager selected option, and in the flat file connection manager field we need to select the sample flat file source data. So this is the only the single resource, so this is the one which is selected. So this is basically the connection manager which we had created in the previous video. So we have selected that resource. By default it has selected this resource. Now on the left hand side we can select the columns to verify the name of the columns. They should be correct. So the external column and output column. So we had defined the columns in the flat file connection manager: average rate, currency ID, currency date, and end of date. Now it is talking about the column in the destination. So in the destination it is specifying average rate, same column names for the destination as well. So we just need to verify that the destination table contains the correct columns. these columns, so we can check out the database structure and the table structure. Uh, to me, it seems okay. And once you verify the name of the columns are correct, you need to click on the OK button. And then right click on the flat file source and select properties. It will take you to the properties pane. Now in the properties pane, just ensure that the locale ID property is set to English United States. So it is in fact set to English United States. So we are done with this step as well. So the step was to add and configure a flat file source. This is done. Let's save the project. Uh, Save all. Let's do a save all. Now the next step would be to add and configure a lookup transformation. So let me add that. So next step would be to, let me mark this in bold. So next step we are covering will be add and configure the lookup transformations. So guys, we will cover this step in the part 3 of this video. In today's video, we have covered 2 steps. In fact, we have covered 3 steps. We have added and configured a OLE DB Connection Manager. We have added a data flow task to the package, and we have added a flat file source task to the package as well. So I hope you got the step 3, step 4, and step 5. If not, please go through this video again. And also it is highly recommended to watch the previous video before doing anything or watching this video. So please go ahead and watch the part 1 of this video, and then you can go on with this part. And in our next part, which will be part 3, we will cover the add and configure the lookup transformations in detail, and we will show you practically how that has to be done. For now, we are done, and let's go back to slides. So guys, I thank you so much for your time on this video today. And if you have any queries or comments or any suggestion, you can send out an email to my email address vrmavane@gmail.com. And also please post in your comments on the videos. Please click on the like button if you really like this video. Please do share your comments, and also if you have a good network of friends, please share this video with your friends if you feel that this video will be useful for them in their day-to-day life. And I thank you so much for your time on this video today, guys, and you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.